NFL teams keep making the same big mistake when they play the Dallas Cowboys and when they play Dak Prescott. We will dive into that tonight on the show, as we will also be taking a look at what has become one of the biggest strengths for this Cowboys football team while we wait on week 13 next Sunday. We will get the Cowboys versus the Colts in prime time. Some people have been complaining about the fact that it will be in prime time, and I get it. But hey, the Cowboys are the Cowboys, and they draw ratings. So we'll talk about that strength. We will talk about that mistake by opposing NFL teams. And as always, we will have the one cool thing of every Tuesday. So get ready for that segment that we do every week. And by the way, we will be taking a look at a play that, in my opinion, is one of Zach Martin's best moments of the season. So stay tuned for that as well. Do me a favor, hit the like button, share the stream. If you are watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, let your friends know about A to Z Sports Dallas Primetime. And remember that every single thumbs up puts this show in front of more and more Cowboys fans. So do me a favor and hit the thumbs up. Let's keep this show growing, and the channel, of course. Shout out to some of the people here in the YouTube chat and the Facebook chat. We've got Eric in the room, Toxic Tom, Kevin Knight. Who else do we have here? Larry Stroud is over at Facebook. Shout out to Peter as well. Toxic saying, Mo USA is taking the World Cup. That was a fun game today from the U.S., but I don't think that will be the case, Toxic. Let's see what happens in 2026, though. That will be exciting. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let's get this show started officially now that more of us are here. So 1, 2, and 3. What is up, everybody, and welcome into A to Z Sports Dallas Primetime. I am your host, Mauricio Rodriguez, streaming with you live every Sunday through Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central. Make sure that you check out, as always, atozsports.com/Dallas for more Cowboys content. You can check out news, analysis, opinion over there. And as always, remember that Primetime is brought to you by our friends over at freemanmazda.net. We will talk more about them and the ride of the week in a few moments here on the show. But before we do any of that, let's talk about a lesson that the NFL has yet to learn when it comes to Dak Prescott. And I call this the Dak mistake, starting today, starting with this show, because it's impressive. It's getting impressive by now. The Dallas Cowboys have one of the most dangerous quarterbacks against the blitz, yet he keeps getting blitzed. And it's weird when you watch, and keep in mind, I'm not comparing him to them directly, but you'll see what I mean in a moment here. When you watch Josh Allen, everyone knows that you cannot blitz Josh Allen that often. Or the same for Patrick Mahomes, the same for several of these quarterbacks that are well-established passers in the league and well-known names. Now, this is not to say that Dak, once more, is in the same tier as Josh Allen is, as Patrick Mahomes is, yet he is a certified blitz assassin. Yet he is the 8th most blitz quarterback in the NFL, despite having the 3rd best completion percentage, the 6th highest Pro Football Focus grade, the 11th best passer rating in the league when blitzed. And even when you go back in 2021, in 2020, 2019, 2018, this has been going on for the length of Dak Prescott's career. He is not going to be rattled because of the blitz, yet teams seem to be stubborn. And they still want to go get him. They still want to get to number 4. It's honestly, at this stage, impressive. When you look at some of the best quarterbacks in completion percentage, in Pro Football Focus grade, in passer rating, in every yards per attempt, whatever stat that you choose, those that are near the top, for the most part, are not among the most blitzed quarterbacks in the league. I'm impressed that NFL teams have not learned that lesson. Think about the Giants, and I know that the Giants made it hard for the Cowboys in the first half specifically, but even down two starting cornerbacks, they insisted on blitzing Dak and the Cowboys. And we will actually take a look at a specific play in a few moments here on the show. But they insisted on playing man-to-man coverage. They said, you know what? We will die by our sword, by our defensive philosophy. And defensive coordinator Martin Wingdale did not shy away from playing man-to-man versus CeeDee Lamb versus Michael Gallup while blitzing Dak Prescott in several third down situations and early down situations as well, too. But I'm impressed by the fact that teams keep blitzing Dak Prescott. I think that it's a little bit of a disrespect move to Dak. But hey, as Bruce says in the comments here, Mo, they should keep blitzing and getting sliced up. In other words, Bruce says, hey, that's not a problem to me. That is a problem to them. But if you're Dak and you are the Dallas Cowboys, sure, go ahead and blitz the guy. Now, Tino Santiago says, how much time do you want to give him? Says Tino. I don't know if I'm assuming that we're talking about Dak here in the comments. But hey, I think that if you are an opposing defense, what you probably want to do is, one, get more guys in coverage, especially because the Cowboys, and we've seen this throughout the entire season now, they want to remain aggressive. They want to take those deep shots. Early in the game, those drives that were kind of killed, even though the Cowboys were rolling offensively, were because the Cowboys wanted to get those deep shots early. And it didn't work out for them. So it's kind of a drastic coin flip. At the end of the day, it is a high-stakes game when you're looking for explosive plays that often. But you probably want more guys in coverage, or two, you want to at least simulate most of these pressures. And I wanted to get into this today because that's more or less what we will be taking a look at here shortly in the next play. It's a pre-recorded portion of the show because I wanted to dive into the tape with you guys, and I thought that it was easier to do this. It's a short clip, don't worry. But hey, last year when the Cowboys played the Cardinals, for example, in Week 17, Arizona was able to really confuse Dak because they used a lot of simulated pressures. They walked guys up to the line of scrimmage, and then instead of blitzing, they dropped them back, and Dak looked confused, and the whole offense was a little bit out of sync. You know which plays I'm talking about. There were some plays in which the Cardinals had 7 guys in the line of scrimmage, and then they were playing regular vanilla cover 2 when the ball was snapped, rushing with 4 players only. Now, that kind of stuff did get to the Cowboys last year a little bit. I also think that had to do with Dak Prescott's mobility being an issue at that point, considering that Dallas was dealing with an injury to their starting quarterback with Dak. But hey, now that he's healthy, he's back to killing the blitz. Do me a favor and let me know in the chat, from 1 to 10, how much confidence do you have in Dak Prescott when he is blitzed? Now, while you give me your answers, let's see here. Let's talk about the ride of the week, and then we will get into the play. We will get into the tape shortly for some insight into how the Cowboys are doing this, not only with Dak Prescott, but offensively as a unit. They're getting better. So let me know from 1 to 10, what is your confidence level in Dak Prescott when he is blitzed? And while you do that, and before I give you my answer, let me talk to you about our friends over at freemanmazda.net, because the ride of the week is a new 2023 Mazda CX-30 Premium. This one starts at $32,130. It's got all-wheel drive. It's got a sunroof. And if you want comfort, well, it's got leather, power, heated, memory foam seating. That's insane. You want safety? It's got side impact airbags. And if you just want to jam with some music, it's got a premium audio system. A miles per gallon capacity of 24 when you are in the city. That goes up to 31 when you are in the highway. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you check out the 2023 Mazda CX-30 Premium over at freemanmazda.net, a family-owned business for over 65 years. Remember, when you choose Freeman Mazda, you're choosing a lifelong partnership with your car dealer. So before we get into the play, let's see some of your answers here. Toxic says, Mo, I am indifferent with Dak. Some games he looks crisp, and the next he makes a boneheaded throw. Says Toxic. Mark Aaron says Dak has always been a blitz killer. 87% for Gregory, 8.5 for Peter. Kevin Knight goes with 8.5 as well. Elias goes with 9. So some high answers around. Manda goes with 7. There you go. 6 for Glenn. He says he got hurt and really not been on the same run running, but his passing has getting better. Glenn, I agree with that as for 2021. I do think that Dak's mobility is kind of all the way back for Dak Prescott. My answer would be a high one. I would probably go with 8.5 as well, as some of you did in the chat. Maybe because, there are some quarterbacks that I would rather have versus the blitz. So I cannot say 10 because maybe the best quarterback against the blitz, I'm thinking, for example, Patrick Mahomes would be my 10. So with that in mind, I will go with 8.5 for that answer. But hey, beating the blitz is not only about the quarterback. It's about the pass protection as a unit. What does that mean? It can mean the offensive line, those 5 big guys up front, but it also includes the running back, who is responsible for picking up some of the blitzers. It also includes the tight end in several situations. And of course, the offensive scheme as a whole, because you can build hot routes into the entire pass protection. The Joe Philbin, offensive line coach, also a big part of this. And I think this is starting to become a strength of the Cowboys. We've seen it, for example, versus the Packers when they were trying to walk up 2 linebackers to the line of scrimmage. Tyler Viadish sniffs that out, but then they're ready for a trick that the linebackers for the Packers were running, in which one was showing blitz, and then if the offensive line slided against them, the other one would blitz. So they were ready to pull out some tricks, and the Cowboys pass pro unit was ready for that. Plus, we've seen some adjustments in game as well. And I wanted to get into one play specifically in which the Cowboys are running a 7-man protection against the Packers. Let's try to break it down. Let's shout out Zach Martin because he has a huge play on this one. Tony Pollard as well doing his job. Let's look at it. Here we go.
The Cowboys have been one of the very best teams against the blitz since Dak Prescott came back. He is one of the quarterbacks with the highest completion percentage, with the highest yards per attempt. Not a lot of big-time throws yet, but you don't see a lot of mistakes from the Cowboys when they are blitzed, and that's what the Giants wanted to do. This is 3rd and 11 late in the Cowboys game. This is the game in which the drive in which Peyton Hendershot ends up scoring the final touchdown of the day for the Cowboys. But I want to look at this play in which the Cowboys are in 7-man protection, and they connect with CeeDee Lamb down the field, even against the Giants' blitz. The Giants are essentially playing man-to-man coverage here. They're playing cover 1, basically high safety, but they're sending the blitz, and instead of having a robber in this area of the underneath zones. But look at this. The Giants are showing you 7 guys that they can pressure you with. 7 guys that are threatening Dak Prescott and company, including Jalen Smith, a linebacker type, including number 41 here, including Julian Love, the safety right there. And the Cowboys have 7 men to deal with it. So we'll take a look at the play, and then we'll get into the protection, because I think there's a lot to take away from it, from Tony Pollard, to Dalton Schultz, McGovern, Viadish, and even Zach Martin, who had the most insane play on this repetition. So let's look at it. This is Dak Prescott's throw to CeeDee Lamb on the crosser. The next play, Dak goes to CeeDee, probably to make up for what could have been a touchdown. The officials ruled that one an incomplete one in the end zone. You guys know which play we're talking about there. So the Cowboys are in 7-man pro. How do you deal with what the Giants are showing you? They have 7 men ready to go against you. You know that the Giants love to blitz, especially on third and long, just like they did it back with the Ravens last year when Windale was their defensive coordinator. So what do you do in this scenario? This is the kind of plays, by the way, that the Cowboys struggled with when they faced, for example, the Arizona Cardinals in Week 17 the year before this one. So I think it's a huge deal to see what the Cowboys are doing now, seeing this kind of efficiency. Now, mind you, this is not to say that the Cowboys always destroyed the blitz, but they're showing significant improvement in my opinion. So you've got 7 guys to deal with 7 guys. You don't know who's not blitzing, and in this case, spoiler alert, who doesn't blitz ends up being Julian Love, ends up dropping back into coverage, apparently being locked on Dalton Schultz in case he goes out for a route. All of the other players, though, go. So you've got 6 versus 7, essentially. What the Cowboys need to do first here is decide where they're sliding towards, starting with Tyler Viadish, or just sliding to the left side or to the right side. The left side is essentially the strong one, considering Noah Brown and CeeDee Lamb are to the left side of this one, which would be the field side of the field. This is where the Cowboys slide towards. They slide towards Kayvon Thibodeau to get Tyler Smith against the edge rusher. That would put McGovern in this gap, and then Tyler Viadish in this one, probably blocking Jalen Smith. That's important to know in a bit here. That would put Terrence Steele in turn against this edge rusher and Zach Martin against number 97. In turn, that would put Tony Pollard probably against 41 in case he blitzes. And this would be a read for Dalton Schultz. I would have thought that Dalton Schultz would have Jalen Smith because at first I would have assumed that the Cowboys offensive line was sliding the other way originally when watching the tape. Then I understood why I was wrong. These are the dudes. This is Kayvon Thibodeau, and you've got 4 guys on the left side, so that obviously makes a lot of mathematical sense. Dalton Schultz is going to read the safety. Is the safety coming? No. Then I'm helping with Kayvon Thibodeau. That is Dalton Schultz's progression, while Tony Pollard basically only has 41 to worry about. So let's look at the play in real time. Let's see what the Cowboys did here. Here we go. Boom. Slide towards the left. Dalton Schultz sees that Julian Love is not coming, so he's going to help out with Kayvon Thibodeau. Pollard is going to get number 41 because he does fire. The linebacker does. But look who is helping him. Look at Zach Martin. Martin gets his hands on 41, full on his chest, by the way. And then also stops number 97. That's Zach Martin casually stopping 2 grown-ass men with one hand each. Pollard then picks up number 41. But that is an unbelievable play from Zach Martin. And then Dak Prescott, of course, finds CeeDee Lamb. But let's look at the left side now of the offensive line. Look at McGovern and Viadish. Jalen Smith will run the stunt to free up the DT. Viadish and McGovern picked that up perfectly. The only guy that, as you can see, kind of gets beat on this one is Terrence Steele over at right tackle. But fortunately, Dak Prescott already has CeeDee Lamb by then. Look, Terrence Steele does get beat on this one. But Dak identifies the blitz, knows that there will be an opening because there's nobody on the middle of the field other than the deep safety. And you get that big gainer to set up 1st and goal. Lastly, Tyler Smith, some issue with Kayvon Thibodeau, but with Dalton Schultz there, not a concern at all. I don't think that's a rep that either of those 2 guys lost. But Zach Martin still, man, it has me thinking about this play since I watched it on tape 2 days ago. Wanted to share it with you. That's part of the Cowboys' success versus the blitz. One play later, you get the throw to CeeDee Lamb that we thought was complete. And then after that, you get the Peyton Hendershot touchdown, 4 tight ends on the field. Good stuff by the Cowboys versus the blitz.
There you go. I thought it was a fun play. I wanted to share it with you guys. Wanted to share you with the tape I know that I usually don't do a lot of that, but hey, since I don't really know exactly how to draw while being live with you guys here on the show, I thought that it would be a good idea to get that video ready and show it to you on the show. But yeah, the Cowboys are looking better against the blitz than they did last year. And in this situation, they had 7 guys in the line of scrimmage. One of them doesn't rush the passer. And I think that overall, the Cowboys have done a better job being prepared for those situations, because I don't really think that it has a lot to do with, oh, Prescott now can read those simulated pressures post snap. I think that it has more to do with, oh, the Cowboys have answers. The Cowboys know where they will be sliding towards, who has which dual read. I think it's more about that. So that's obviously very promising for the Cowboys moving forward. And also, shout out to Zach Martin. That was insane. Just one-handed, let me help Pollard out, and then let me take one of the best defensive tackles in football. That's just a ridiculous play from number 70. And that holding penalty that somebody mentioned in the chat, shout out to Mark saying that was a VS holding penalty, the one that they called on Zach Martin. I do agree. I didn't know when watching it live, but after watching the replay, I don't think that was a holding at all. But this is the NFL. It will happen here and there. Anyways, let's see. Stephen White says Kellen Moore is leveling up. Hey, he might be. He might be. And I understand that we're still not convinced about Kellen. I get it. We want the Cowboys to prove it consistently and to do it in the playoffs. But in the meantime, it's not like we should ignore the good stuff. And over the last few weeks, and I would go back to the Chicago Bears game and include a big chunk out of the Packers game, even though it was a loss. But we have seen a lot of good for these Cowboys offense since Dak Prescott returned. We're seeing solid designs, solid play calls. Sure, they're being more aggressive than some people would like, but even that is okay. Some teams want to be aggressive, and if the Cowboys want to be such a squad, let's let them find that balance. For example, this Giants game, they dug themselves in several holes because they wanted deep shots. And once they said, you know what, let's keep it easy here, let's keep it rolling little by little, then they started, getting going. However, you can respect them wanting those big play opportunities, as Mike McCarthy called them in a recent press conference. Jeff says, oh, this is a huge comment from Jeff. Shout out to Jeff here on Facebook. And by the way, do me a favor, if you enjoy what you are watching, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up. If you're watching the show, remember that every thumbs up puts this show in front of more and more Cowboys fans. That is how the algorithm works. And if you're watching on Facebook, of course, if you share now to public, that is massive as well. But shout out to Jeff. He says, Tyron Smith coming back will help big time. And that is a very timely comment because, listen, last year or in previous seasons, Tyron went out, and these kind of little things on Pass Pro crumbled and fell apart for Dallas. It's big that they're doing this even without Tyron. I agree with Jeff. It is going to get better, but that part that we mentioned in the analysis of McGovern and Tyler Viotish sniffing out that stunt and being able to pick it up, not only be aware of it, but also picking it up. That has to do with chemistry too. That will be a challenge maybe when Tyron Smith comes back, but I think that it's a challenge worth taking on if it means you're getting better up front. Let's see. Darius says, I say don't let him play until the end of the season. Let him heal, says Darius. And Toxic on a related note says, are we banking on Tyron Smith? How many times are we going to learn this lesson again? Fair comment, fair concerns, fair opinions, I would say. I would want Tyron in the lineup when he is back. Nothing against Tyler. I think that Tyler Smith has been exceeding expectations since day one. I didn't think that he was going to look this good as a left tackle in year one, especially after he prepared to be a guard. But I don't know. I think that you get drastically better, not because of the left tackle spot alone, because of the left guard slot. I would feel much better about the Tyron Tyler pair than I do about the Tyler McGovern pair. Not to mention, I know that he's been getting injured as of late, if you go back a few years. But Tyron is that freaking good. Let's not mistake it here. Let's not forget about that part of the equation. Tyron is that good. He is one of the best left tackles in the NFL when he's healthy to this day. So if he's healthy, play him. As Emmanuel says here in the Facebook chat, if he's healthy, he must play. I agree with that. Now, sure, he's been injured, but it's not like if he's healthy to play, you have to be able to bank on him to go, say, if we are including the last few weeks of the regular season, for 6-7 games, right? I mean, I'm being wildly optimistic here and saying if you want to go on a Super Bowl run, assuming that going into the highest number of games possible, you have to trust that. You have to trust that he's able to not sustain a full season, which is a very different conversation, but he can likely go on that streak. Probabilities would be in your favor that Tyron Smith plays the whole season or whatever is left of it. Bruce says, think about it this way. It will boost protections and allow Tyler to whip as in a phone booth. That is right. That's our favorite part about Tyler Smith, how physical he is in the trenches. If you're going to let him do his thing at left guard, you're on a good thing. You're on to something that is very positive. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that was more or less what Holly says. Tyron is dominant, but we know we can win without him. That is true. Like, worst case scenario, he comes back, he gets injured, you're back at square one. And it's not ideal to be doing these back and forth dance. But man, it's damn well worth the risk, I would say. Give me that risk. I would make that bet 10 times out of 10. Let me play Tyron Smith. Best case scenario, I get an offensive line with Tyron Smith, which helps me maybe slide more towards Terrence Steele, which in turn improves Terrence Steele. Maybe Tyler Smith also plays at a higher level and is more consistent, specifically in pass pro, because in pass pro, it's not like Tyler has been perfect. He has not been such. So having said all of that, I would take that risk if it meant the worst case scenario being just doing what you've been doing all season long. And maybe there's a hiccup here and there because you're, switching Tyler from one position to another. You're doing the snip snap thing. But I would take that risk if it meant the best case scenario is getting Tyron in the lineup. I think he's that good. And I think sometimes we kind of forget how good number 77 is. Let's see. Bayo says apparently Beckham would sign with the Cowboys next week since he's set to visit the Cowboys headquarters on December the 5th. Man, listen, I want OBJ in Dallas. I know that the Cowboys are the favorites to land OBJ, so I've also thought about this a lot. OBJ is set to visit the Giants. He is set to visit Buffalo. You would assume that is going to happen on the same trip. And then he heads to Dallas for December 5th. That seems to be his final destination, right? I do think the Cowboys are the favorites to land OBJ at this point. Of course, let's hope that he doesn't get out of Buffalo very in love with what he sees around him. Von Miller confirmed on a Twitch stream today that he is going to be visiting Buffalo as well. And I would say that's the one that concerns me the most. I'm not that concerned about the Giants. I'm not buying the OBJ to the Giants hype. They would have to open up the wallet. If they do, everyone is in play. I think this is more about money than we realize. And as I said last week, it was never the OBJ Bowl. That was Marketing. That was marketing by the NFL. But it will be about money. But a bad team, or not necessarily a bad team, because I wouldn't call the Giants a bad team, but they're not a contender in 2022. You have to be a contender, in my opinion, to land OBJ without having to open up the wallet like other teams would have to. Kevin Knight says the OBJ question is how football ready is he? And that is what he's going to prove, I guess, in some of these visits. Maybe get some physicals in their teams, try to figure out what the deal is. I will tell you something though. If he wasn't football ready, he wouldn't be going on a tour with so many of these teams. Teams wouldn't be trying to recruit him as hard as they are right now. That's my take on this whole thing. Plus, once more, it is an ACL injury. The timetable fits. If we were talking about him getting ready for September, maybe we would be a little bit hesitant about the whole thing. I think we have more reasons to believe that he is football ready than the other way around. But to Kevin's point, we simply do not know. Shout out to Tommy. Thank you for your comment. He says, make sure you guys hit the like button for Mo. Thank you to Tommy. I appreciate it. Do me a favor and hit the thumbs up. And before we get out of here, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about our one cool thing. For those of you who are new to the show, to this space, our one cool thing, it's our weekly segment on Tuesdays that can have nothing to do with sports. If you wanted to have it to do with sports, it can, but it's whatever you want to share. What is your one cool thing of the week? It can be something personal, professional, sports related, non-sports related. What is your one cool thing of the week? I had forgotten to load up the question in the comments for you guys. Let me know. I think that we could get some World Cup things in there. I think I'm looking forward because we had Thanksgiving as well last weekend. So maybe we get a lot of those answers as well. I already have mine, and it's a little bit of a show and tell thing because I bought something. Kevin Knight says, got new tires for my car. That is his one cool thing of the week. Emmanuel says, God of War Ragnaroks has been so fun. Man, I love video games. I've never played the God of War franchise, but I've been hearing a lot about it. So I'm glad that you are enjoying it, Emmanuel. December 5, one cool thing. Toxic's birthday, says Mark. Oh, shout out to Toxic. Shout out to Toxic. I'm not going to congratulate him yet. I will wait until December 5th, but shout out to him. Glenn says, my last turkey sandwich was the best. Toxic says, USA. The United States is advancing to the next round of the World Cup. Oh, Holly dropping an interesting one. My one cool thing is my ex wants to see me tomorrow night. Okay. Now, I do wonder what kind of one cool thing that is. Is that I don't want to see my ex or the other way around? Interesting one cool thing there. Shout out to Holly and thank you for the one cool thing. My one cool thing of the week, ladies and gentlemen, is I realize it's going to be one of my most mainstream moments in this show, one of my most basic tastes in this show, but I got a book. It's Quentin Tarantino's first nonfiction book. I love movies, not gonna lie, but I am, as every basic guy or mainstream guy, I love Quentin Tarantino movies. Sue me. It's an interesting read. I'm like 30% in by now. I've had it for a few days, and I'm enjoying it a lot. So that's my one cool thing. Quentin Tarantino, Cinema Speculation, fun book. If you guys are into movies and if you guys like Tarantino, that's a good book. I'm enjoying it a lot. It's not about his movies. It's not about any of that. It's him analyzing other movies. And I'm keeping a note of some of these movies that he mentions that are old movies from the 70s, for example. And I want to watch them. And cool book. I do recommend it. I love reading, as you guys know. And I've enjoyed it a lot. Oh, Sugar Daddy Williams says, big check from an insurance company. That's fitting with the username. Shout out to Sugar Daddy Williams. Y'all, thank you. Thank you. Wouldn't be a cool thing if mine wanted to see me, says Tommy. Exactly. That's how I thought. That's what I thought precisely. I said I wouldn't necessarily enjoy that. How do you say nerd in Spanish, says Tommy? You probably say nerd as well, or ñoño. That could also be think. Toxic Tom says, Mo, what happened to your old intro? Had to change it up for some weird reason. I really don't know what happened, but I like this music a lot. I really do. This is the new music of Primetime. Has like some sort of fight vibes to it. Think of a old school fight video game, arcade kind of vibes. That's what I get from this music. Well, how's your Mazda doing, Mark Aaron? Oh, it's great. It's got memory foam sitting, as I talked about earlier. Shout out to all of you guys. That will be it for me tonight on Primetime. Hope that you enjoyed the show. Hope that NFL teams did not learn the lesson that we talked about earlier. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up, share the stream. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, let your friends know about Primetime. And also, I will see you tomorrow, 8 p.m. Central, as we do every single night of the week. Tomorrow, we will start with the previous stuff versus the Indianapolis Colts. Wanted to hold on a little bit, specifically since it's not like I don't want to jinx anything, but it's not like there's some big-time matchups that we need to talk about against the Colts. There are some, not enough to start on a Tuesday, though, I would say. So I wanted to keep it a little bit fresh. That's why last night we took a look at the NFC playoff picture. Today we took a look at a specific aspect of the Cowboys offense. I think tomorrow night we can get started with the previous stuff. Shout out to all of you. Hit the thumbs up, and I will see you tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Central. Primetime brought to you once more by FreemanMazda.net. Nos vemos. Adiós. Tengan un excelente martes. Bye-bye.